major news item this morning is that the UAE is launched a virtual ministry for happiness. Yes, Kenyans are angry people. I think it's time for us to also talk our government into launching the Ministry for Happiness. Huduma number, Kenyans are not happy about it. 1.5, affordable levy, Kenyans are not happy about it. Corruption, Kenyans are not happy about it. So when you think about it, really, the government should be serious with the launching of the Ministry for Happiness. What they say, for us, impossible, and that's quote unquote, for us, impossible is not in our dictionary. So whatever you need, good food, it's not impossible. Good services, it's not impossible. Need a loan for business, it's not impossible. We don't want unhappy citizens. That's what Dubai is telling you. Think about it. That would be good for Kenyans, isn't it? Since we've been known to be people who complain a lot. All right, welcome back to the Business Am. We are joined by Abraham Mdhauga. You know him. He's in the studio to help you understand the major economic headlines that you are waking up to today. Some factors that also you should consider and talk about as your day progresses. Abraham, thank you very much for joining us.
Most welcome.
So now, I've been asking this question for the entire day today.
Yes.
UAE has launched Ministry of Possibilities. For them, they say, impossible is not in our dictionary. Should the government of Kenya launch that, what do you want them to do for you so that you're a happy citizen?
In fact, it's interesting you say that because I think a year or two ago,
Yes.
I was in a forum in Switzerland.
Yes.
And I met the Queen of Bhutan. There's a country called Bhutan.
Yes.
B-H-U-T-A.
Yes.
Bhutan. And they have a happiness index.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they're considered the happiest people in the world. So, and when I spoke to them, actually you could see them. And to them, they prioritize happiness over everything else.
Uh-huh.
A very interesting state. Nothing much about that country, but they're considered the happiest
people
in the world.
What?
So happiness has many things.
Yes.
And brings down a lot of things. It brings
Yes.
down stress, brings down disease. And a happy citizen is even easier to govern. Yeah. So I think, but see again, happiness is not a commodity.
It's not a commodity.
Yeah, you cannot buy it.
You cannot go to buy it.
So happiness is caused by certain things happening.
I know.
Or not happening.
Or not happening,
Yeah,
isn't
but,
it?
yeah, but a happy it's suffice to say a happy citizen is a good one.
Yes.
But now we need to put some more thought into how we make
our citizens happy.
Yes.
So when you look at that index, what do you think Kenyans are going to fall on happiness levels?
No, for now they would fall very low. and again, and you see,
Yes.
it has to do with this reality of what is happening
Yes.
in Kenya and perception of what is happening.
Yes.
And normally there's a very big disconnect.
There's a big
But
disconnect.
what always carries the day is the perception.
Yes.
So I think, and that gap is always breached by a good communication strategy.
Yes.
Especially like the thing we're talking about, all of us now, the Huduma number.
The Huduma number.
And the housing levy.
1.5 levy.
As much as, yes, there are issues about it, but I think even the communication
Is not
around those two
around the whole issue.
is not as good as it should.
Yes.
Yes.
All right. With that note, I just want us to get into the first story of the day that's going to determine whether Kenyans are happy or not. But the taxman and the betting companies in this country, they're not happy people. Should we base our talk on happiness this morning? Now, they've been told, look, Kiara has been told, not yet. You cannot tax bet winnings in this country. You have to hold on, all right? This is an order issued by Milimani official codes, all right? Senior resident magistrate Kivuti, all right? It follows a 2014 successful suit by Benson Iwogu seeking barring of betting giant SportPesa from deducting and remitting taxes from winnings. We do know how it went back in 2014. SportPesa actually did threaten to withdraw sponsorships from all the major sponsorships it was having in this country and said, good, if you want to increase the tax, you want to start taxing us more, then good, let's do business. taxes more, withdraw sponsorships. And we do know that the sports facilities in this country actually rely heavily on major betting companies in this country. Question this morning, when somebody looks at it like this, is it time for us to start taxing betting companies more and more, or should we just leave the winnings to the winners themselves?
I think if you look at the situation, it's a deja vu.
Yes.
If you remember in earlier years, the date 15, 20 years ago, every budget would come with increases in two things.
Yes.
Cigarettes and beer.
And beer.
And they would raise the same arguments. And there would be a back and forth. They would blackmail and the government would go back and forth. But if you fast forward now, those two sectors are completely in sync and they're under control.
Yes.
To the extent that they cannot even advertise their products before a certain time or in a certain format. They're properly under. Now, coming to betting. Yes, betting is betting. Those who want to do it, let them do it. However, winnings from betting cannot be exempt from tax.
Yes.
I think that ruling, if you look at it carefully, the bone of contention is the betting companies do not want to tax it at source. That's to say, if you have won 10 million, they do not want to deduct your 3 million and give you 7 million.
Yes.
So basically, they do not want to be made an agent, a tax agent.
Yes.
Which probably they have a right to say that. But frankly speaking, the winning per se, whether it will be taxed at that source or later, it must be taxed.
Yes.
Because it's money, it's income.
Yes.
If everybody is paying tax, what would be so special about a betting win?
Yes.
But I think the contention is that they do not want to take it taxed at source, so they give you your 10 million, and it's your responsibility what you do with the tax man.
Yes.
Yeah. But if you look at it from a tax efficiency perspective, and from a responsible betting perspective, I think even without compulsion, I think they should take it at source.
They should take it
is
at
very
source,
easy. Because that way, it's very easy because they'll be giving KRA one check.
Yes.
The way that we are doing it now, KRA now has to follow all these betting companies who's winning left, right, and center.
Yes.
The guys who come on television and say, I've won, even you can win.
Yes.
Those guys will keep coming every day. So those guys have to follow. But if we go the responsible betting way,
Tax it at source.
we will sort this out. Because I don't think it is for discussion whether that money is taxable.
Yes. It should be taxable.
No, it is.
That's what you feel at this
Yes,
point.
yes.
Isn't it? Let's just go back a bit and see what's really happening in the betting industry in Kenya.
Yes.
Now, the betting companies in Kenya are saying, look, this is an industry that was not conceptualized well by the Kenyan government. Any betting company that comes into Kenya is given a license. And that means there's a lot of increased competition in this country. There are a lot of unregulated sort of betting companies in the country, which means that these betting companies now spend a lot of money in terms of commercializing their projects and also advertising and sort of selling themselves further because competition is not regulated in this. In fact, Kenya doesn't think as betting as an industry yet. They look at them individually as business entities in this country. Now, when therefore you tell these betting companies that don't have a structure or are not well identified by the Kenyan government as a one-on-one business that the business culture in Kenya supports. Yes. When you want to tax this at source again, do they have a point when they say, look, because you've not recognized us, because you've not given us working structures, leave us alone. Don't come and tax us further. Leave us alone, all right? Yes. Because they use these prices, the jackpots they call them. If you advertise somebody's going to win 20 million, then they get the 20 million. And that's what sort of gives them market because people know they're going to get that amount of money. Is that okay? Is that okay? Is that a better argument from an economic perspective?
Yeah, you see, purely from economics, in any market, everything is determined by competition.
Yes.
So if a market is overplayed, by overplayed I means it has more players than it should.
Yes.
Then nature will take its course. It will reduce them to what they should be.
Yes.
In terms of those that are not competitive will fall away if they don't change.
Yes.
I don't see what the government can do to ease the pain of somebody who's not competitive. Again, this is betting. We're not talking about sugar production or maize production. We're talking about betting.
Yes.
So I think it's a case of let's throw them in the air, let the chips fall where they may.
Yes.
But I think for competition, let them compete. And let's be honest, the kind of margins that are being made in this business are massive. They are massive. I keep giving the example of that day of Manchester United playing Paris Saint-Germain.
Yes.
997 million was bet in one night.
Yes.
And how much was the winning? Probably less than 10% of that amount.
Yes.
So that gives you an idea of the kind of money that is being made. So one, tax, as they say, the only sure thing is tax and death and taxes.
Yes.
Taxes, that they have to be taxed. We can discuss about the rate of taxation. The rate can be discussed, but whether tax or not, I think that is a done deal.
Yes.
So let them compete in the market. Players will keep coming because don't forget, in any market, when the margins are big,
Yes.
it attracts
Players. Players.
So those as the players come in, the margins start shrinking. They shrink to a point where if you're not competitive, then you start losing. So it's actually market has a way of correcting itself.
Yes.
So left competition, because like now the way they're doing, everybody is competing for their space. You say, I have this product, this guy won yesterday, this is my jackpot. So it's up to them. That is their game.
Yes.
But let them compete. Because I think the field is quite level.
This is what they argue. Look, remember in 2018 when the new bill was purported now to have them pay 35% tax. And they were saying, look, 35% tax on your revenues, and then 30% of this will go to corporate tax, 25% to sales, all right, like sports and sponsorships and legal requirement. And then when you also 35% will go to corporate tax as well. 30%.
Yes.
So now they looked at it and said no. And remember, that's when SportPesa looked at it and then they withdrew their sponsorships. And remember, the amount of money that SportPesa was putting into sports facilities in this country in 2018 annually was 600 million Kenyan shillings. All right. Now they looked at it and said no, because now we're supporting this by ourselves. Remember? Now, since you want us to stick to these numbers, then you have to reduce it. And remember, the Kenyan government fell and say, okay, we've cut it by half. Now they're paying 15%. That's fine. Now, do you think Henry Rotich and the Treasury, when they say that they're trying to control young people in the country to not rely on betting as a way of life, is a good argument for looking at betting companies in this country as not proper business entities, which is what is leading to this struggle we're seeing now?
You see, betting falls under quote unquote the sin industry.
Yes, yes.
It falls where beer falls and cigarette falls. And one of the way the governments, not just here, around the world, control the consumption of those products is by putting the price high. Now, that has two effects. It gives the government more money on one side and makes services prohibitive to an extent that you only do it if you must and if you can.
Yes.
But if you lower those prices so much that even casual people who not under no circumstances have consumed those products do. We are fully aware of the effects of what the betting is doing to this country for the young people. That's why I've been talking about the word responsible betting.
Yes.
Because it's not going to go away, but we need to change the way we are doing it into a more responsible manner. That said, their contribution to the economy cannot also be wished away.
Yes.
It can.
It cannot be wished away.
So again, it's a question of sitting as all stakeholders and agreeing, we're in this room, what is our sitting arrangement?
Yes.
Yes. So I think we all have to agree that we are all here and nobody's going away, so let's find a way of living with each other.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I just want us to hold that tempo and cross into the next big issue on the minds of Kenyans. Yesterday, the Editors Guild met and said there's a lot of physical indiscipline by the Kenyan government in the way in which we get our loans. Grab without more, not rethinking of how we're going to pay. And they are saying, with the way things are going, Kenya is bound to default its loan payments in the first time in 10 years. All right. And 10 years, that means it's just a government away. All right. Now, Uhuru and Raila are in China, as we know. They're negotiating for another $3.86 billion to extend the SGR. That's the Naivasha route. First question on the Kenyan minds is this. This handshake between Raila and Uhuru Kenyatta, has it sort of taken away the critical eye that Kenyans should have over issues running this government? Is it now say and do as opposed say, regulate, question, and then probably do?
You see, the other day I was watching a show and where two prominent business leaders were saying that the handshake has stabilized, has calmed the financial markets, which is true on the surface of it.
Yes.
However, yes, governments need to be put in check through a robust opposition.
Yes.
I do not think the opposition is not there. Maybe, because look at it this way. What were we used to before? Government says something, the opposition opposes it. We are not moving.
Yes.
Now, coming back to the issue of your debt, of the debt that on His Excellency the President and Right Honorable Raila Odinga have gone to China to procure. Now, it's for the face of from Naivasha to Kisumu, Malaba.
Yes, and Malaba.
Now, remember, if, as they say, if once you start a process, it may be more expensive for us to stop where we are than to finish. We're already in this.
Yes.
You see, good or bad is a discussion for another day. We are now at Naivasha.
Yes.
This rail line is going to go all the way to Kampala and eventually to Kigali. And that is where the viability of this line comes from.
Yes.
So if we are already in it. So them procuring this debt is, I think, the lesser of the two evils. Because we have to get to Malaba. If we don't get to Malaba, then this thing becomes a dead.
The project becomes a burden.
Number two, and I've said it here, an SGR is not a profit or loss project. It is an economic project.
Yes.
It will make there is already an expansion in economy, which people don't talk about.
Yes.
Attributable to this, and it will even be more when we finish it. Now, coming to debt, the issue of saying we are going to default or not default, that will be informed purely by whether the money goes to the SGR or not. Because if you borrow to purchase a capital asset that generates cash that in the feasibility shows can pay, then where is the problem?
Yes.
The only problem comes if you take that money and put it to another use that does not have the return that this asset was to give, and then now you have less money to pay, then you have to pull money from somewhere else, then now you start burying yourself in a hole.
Yes. So now, critical minds in the country have said, look, let's sort of therefore understand why Kenya has been going to China more and more, and that's what we're saying. We are at risk. Now, it's well known that Kenya has been going to China more and more. Let's look at the numbers. Yes. Kenya, that owes in total from the people who have been lending us. Our friends, Finland, 1.9 billion. All these figures I'm going to mention are in billions. China, 634.4. US, 2.6. Belgium, 8. Italy, 15.6. Germany, 35B. And France, 62.65. That is what we have. And Japan, 1.7. 1.4. Sorry, 104.7 billion. Let's look at it critically. And they're saying, look, if Kenya would have used alternative ways, and they're saying probably these alternative ways didn't work, like going to the World Bank, the African Development Banks, and going west, all right, as opposed to going east. Look, these people do proper physical investigations before they can give you that loan. And now they're saying, look, China doesn't do that much. And the interests that accrue from China's loans, they are more and they require shorter periods of repayments. So when you look at this, and compare what is happening right now, the handshakes and all that, does this look like a legacy that President Uhuru Kenyatta is trying to achieve just before his term expires in 2 years?
I think it's always good to look at something in its context. We started going east during His Excellency Kibaki's regime, and some of these moves sometimes have political connotations.
Yes.
And we started going east for the Thika Superhighway was the first one. Now, remember, when His Excellency the President was campaigning in 2013 and when he came in, at that time they were still at the ICC.
Yes.
And I remember, Taitana again, we spoke with you here that when credit has two issues, access and price.
Yes.
During that time, nobody wanted to touch Kenya in terms of giving and dealing with Kenya even as a sovereign state, because they were saying that the president and the deputy are at The Hague. Yes. China agreed to fund us because Kenya is a going concern.
Yes.
Irrespective of whatever the president and the deputy were going through, Kenya was a running country, and certain things when we needed credit, yes, the Chinese were there for us. At that time, access carried the day, price was secondary, and that continued. So, and if you look at that debt, we soaked a lot of debt at that time. You see, now we look at, sometimes we look at aggregate figures. Sometimes they don't tell the full picture, yes, because they have to be put on their timeline. Oh. So now we are where we are, because the process we started with China must be finished with China. SGR started with China, cannot be finished with France, yes, even if no matter how much we love them. So what you're also asking is, what do we do? Yes. Fine. If China has probably going 700 billion, that's a big chunk of our 20-25% of our debt. Yes. Eventually, one day, one time, and sooner rather than later, yes, we have to tabulate our debt register and look at our entire debt in terms of when this was taken, what is the rate of interest, who it was borrowed from, how much is outstanding. And you can tabulate that for Kenya. The debt register, it exists somewhere. Based on that, there are lenders out there who can easily, either as a consortium, probably a consortium, take that out at a concessional rate. Yes. Because now our rating is not where it was in 2013. Yes. Because that is the only solution, where we refinance these debts. And that refinance does not exclude that the same Chinese can refinance it. Yes. If they know that we now have options. Yes. Because when we first started dealing with them, our options were limited. But now that is not the case. Everybody wants a piece of Kenyan pie. But the truth of the matter is, they were in fast. No wonder now they have the strongest point. Yes. Yes. So going forward, I think we need to tabulate our entire debt register. Yes. And see how best to restructure it, based on the fact that now we can attract better rates, yes, than we could before. All right. I just want us to understand these numbers that we have. When you look at debt to GDP, yes, let's go back to 2 years ago, yes, a year ago, in 2017. Yes. When you look at Tanzania, it clocks in at 34.7%. That's, yes, debt to GDP. Uganda, 38.6%. Rwanda, 40.2%. Kenya, 56.2%. Burundi, 58.8%. Ghana, 70.5%. Sri Lanka, 79.1%. So when you look at our numbers, that is debt to GDP, which is at 56.2%, is that not a concern for us to worry? No. Yes. Personally, I don't think it's a concern to worry. You see, ratios have their meaning and also have their limitations. Yes. So when you look at ratio of debt to GDP, it's basically to show your rate of gearing or, yes, your rate of borrowing. Oh, okay. But it does not tell the story of the quality of that debt. Like now, that ratio does not tell you whether Ghana is doing better or than Rwanda or vice versa. Yes. Doesn't tell you that. So I just still come back to the question, what did that debt do? Because if you extend that, if you look at Japan, if you look at America, yes, they are past 100%, and they're doing just well fine. They are past 100%. So what we are saying is that ratio, being over 100% or being at 20, yes, may mean both ways. Yes. It may be a good thing and maybe a bad thing. But I think we've chosen to look at it from the bad side. Yes. My concern, and this is a personal view, I would be more concerned to know those shillings that came, yes, which capital assets they were put into. Because the more of that money that went to capital assets, the safer we are. All right. Yeah. Now, my director tell me that we only have 2 minutes. But I want you to give me a quick fire response to these issues, because we do know Kenyans are waiting for it. Now, we do know that housing peers, also defiant, Kenyans will pay the housing levy. This is a case in court. It's a waiting decision, whether they like it or not. Now, listen to that.
it's the Big Four agenda, product of the Vision 2030, as the Jubilee government claims, or what does the Vision 2030 really offer to Kenyans under this? And is that a good statement from the PS?
You see, for me, the problem I have is that you are compelling people into housing lottery. Yes, this money is for savings and you'll get it at the end
Yes.
if you don't win. But if it's a lottery that I may or may not get,
Yes.
then let me be the one to choose whether I want to be in the lottery
Or not?
I mean, that is a statement of fairness.
Yes.
And I think that is where people are fighting it.
Yes.
Because you're telling me you're choosing for me to be in this thing, and I'm not sure I'll get a house.
Yes.
You see, so you're putting me in something that I'm not sure of.
Yes.
So why don't I be the one to choose?
Yes.
Don't forget, this model has been used. In the year 75, 76, when Umoja houses were being built, I remember my own father put a lottery. It was a lottery, but it was voluntary. You just participate.
It was voluntary,
and you got
participate, isn't it?
Yes, once you get it,
Yes.
then you pay.
Yes.
So that model has been used, but not in this format.
Not in this format. All right, I just want us to cross over to the last issue now. We do know that the millers and the government are in constant loggerheads in this country. Now, they want the price of maize flour processing also released. They want a bag of maize to be released to 2,500 shillings to the millers. Now, but there's something very critical. The National Cereals and Produce Boss still has no boss. But there's a boss that has been forwarded to the produce board. But guess what? It doesn't want 500,000 shillings as the pay. It wants 700,000 shillings as the pay. A body has been formed around that still, as millers and government are still at loggerheads. You think this is an issue? Is it okay for us to re-advertise and solve the issues right now, right there? What makes this man, that is Joseph Muna Kimote, really the man for National Cereals and Produce Board, judging from his tenure at NSSF?
Okay, for the record, Joseph Kimote was my classmate.
He was your classmate?
Yes, that's for the record. And,
Yes.
Having said that, I think he's good for the job.
It's good for the job.
And I think the issue of salary should be sorted out in a day.
Yes.
I don't think whether you pay him $1 million or $2 million, it will really dent there.
Yes.
Because there are serious issues that he needs to get in and start sorting out. And it's up to the job. So I think they should put that away. If he's been appointed, the issue of salary should be sorted out.
Yes.
Because he needs to set in and sort out the strategic issues of storing and restoring our prices to normal.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Pretty much that.
Yes.
All right. Thank you very much,
Yes.
Habram, for coming on the studio. Guess what? Watch Business Metropole on YouTube. You shall be seeing his mind. As from today, midday, Stephanie tells me she's put it together. Any question that you have for him, you have his social media handles. They shall be right there as well as we cross over to the next part of the morning show. That is Rethinking Entrepreneurship. 400,000 businesses have been failing annually since 2012 to 2019. Well, we have a gentleman from Ghana who works. We have a gentleman who has an who is the CEO for an international organization. Now we know that the Asante Summit is crossing over to Ghana this year. What lessons can we get from West Africa to try and solve our entrepreneurship issues in this country? Business takes a short break. Once we are back, let's look at those solutions. Can we copy something? Let's take the break right now. All right, Business returns as promised. We are looking at a certain number. 400,000 businesses have been dying annually in the country. That is an official statistic. A lot of solutions on paper, a lot of solutions on the ground, but more people are crying that these solutions are not getting to the ground, the people with the ideas. We are not seeing the consequences to everything that these people are talking about. And so in the studio today is a gentleman who has traversed the continent in terms of understanding what other economies across Africa and the world are doing to sort of find solutions pertinent to the issues facing small-scale entrepreneurs across Africa. Now, we do know that under the Big Four agenda, we do know that business environments were promised to be created in the country. But why therefore the number? All right, Mr. Calvin Judici, welcome to Metropole Television. I know we just landed from Ghana. How is it in Ghana?
I mean, Ghana has been quite a good. It's been really good. Wonderful country. I mean, quite hot as well.
Yes.
Compared to Nairobi, which is quite chilled and,
Yes.
and all that. And also I came with the rain, you know.
Yeah, once you landed, there was a lot of rainfall. I called you that day. I was like, you've landed and the rain is here. Actually, just the same day you came. Floods in Turkana.
Yeah.
I know you were met with those headlines.
I mean, so but we thank God, you know, it's been quite dry for a long time.
Yes.
And you know, as Kenyans, we always make a lot of fun. So I was enjoying those fun posts on Facebook and all that. But we thank God, you know.
We thank God.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just want to understand. You're the CEO East Africa, that is at Senti East Africa.
Yeah.
What is this organization trying to sell, and what sort of message? What were you working to in Africa?
So basically, I mean, Ascent is a Pan-African business organization.
Yes.
And basically, we have an annual conference that brings young entrepreneurs from across Africa to be able to meet different people to understand the different scope of entrepreneurship. And also we're looking at, I mean, we look more of, you know, how can we balance the opportunities across Africa? Because for us, we believe that you don't have to succeed only in your country. You can actually succeed in other parts of Africa.
Yes.
And as a young person, you don't need to probably illegally go abroad. You know, like what you've been seeing in West Africa, people crossing through, you know, through the ocean, and even some people crossing through even the desert to be able to go to Europe to get better life and all that. Well, actually, we can be able to do all that here in Africa. So, I mean, we in a sense, we're just looking for diverse opportunity that we can be able to give to as many young people as possible, and then expose them to also these kind of opportunities.
Yes. I know that you relate with a lot of people from across the continent.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, you've just been in Ghana, and you've been observing how they do their businesses over the other side.
Yeah.
So when you look at the Kenyan youth, and when you look at also the Kenyan small and medium enterprises in this country, what sort of culture sort of works for or against Kenya when it comes to pushing smartphone for business?
Yeah, I mean, so number one, I have to say that Kenya is still one of the top countries. I mean, I've gone to almost 10 African countries, and Kenya's still like one of the best countries when it comes to ease of doing business. I mean, when it comes to different opportunities.
Yes.
I mean, when you look at Kenya has a very strong growing number of small and medium enterprises. And it's not because, and actually it's because of the ease of doing business. I mean, Kenya has become very easy in terms of even registering a company.
Yes.
And all that. I mean, we still have a lot of challenges in terms of financial access, especially for the startups. You know, that has been always one of the challenges that you find that most startups die within 3 years because number one, obviously, access to finance. Number two, also, I mean, poor management as well. So, but I can say, you know, if you compare this to Ghana, I mean, Ghana is really good in terms of political stability, in terms of, you know, ethical, in terms of cultural ethics. I mean, Ghana is, cultural ethics.
When you talk about cultural ethics, would you think that corruption index in Kenya also affects these small-scale businesses we have in the country?
Yeah, I mean, corruption affects us a lot, and you know, corruption actually doesn't affect. So for example, Kenyan corruption, it doesn't affect. It doesn't come directly to the business, but actually it affects it. For example, I mean, you find all this money that's been lost and all that kind of stuff. This is the money that actually is supposed to be circulating in the economy, and you find that somebody is keeping that money probably in a safe somewhere in their homes. And this is the money that's supposed to circulate in the economy. This is the money that's supposed to help this small and medium enterprise to be able to grow. And because of that, you find that even banks, it becomes very hard for even them to give small loans to people who want to grow their business. And you see, that's the reason why you find that mobile banking, mobile lending platforms are really grown, because I mean, most people will prefer
using that as opposed to. So when you look at when you look at the climate in Ghana, especially, let's talk about even this. Let's talk about that, because that's the major part of this conversation.
Yeah.
Capital is a big issue to entrepreneurs in this country.
Yeah.
And we do know that with the cap rates that have been introduced now by the government, banks are sort of on a go slow to give small enterprises these loans. So when you look at what Ghana is doing differently, and when you look at now that most Kenyan entrepreneurs would run to their relatives and this
borrow and all that, yeah.
Yes. Do you think that is a good climate for businesses in this country? And what is West Africa, Ghana, doing differently as opposed to?
I mean, Ghana also has that challenge. You know, I've had, I had a conversation with a couple of people when I was in Ghana. I mean, a couple of entrepreneurs.
Yes.
And because we actually this year in November, November 20th to 23rd, we are going to have our summit there.
Yes.
And one of the key things that people continuously say is that, hey, you know, you guys need to have a very strong discussion on financial inclusion and how young people can be able to access finance. And it's the same problem. Like, you know, banks in most of the countries, even in West Africa, don't really want to give money to especially even SMEs. Actually, there even is more tighter actually.
Yes.
So they don't want to give money to even the SMEs. But you find that what is now the trend that's now actually going on is that there's so many upcoming venture capital, you know, like capital companies, like companies that give money and invest in businesses.
Yes.
So people actually prefer going for those, you know, debt financing and all those different forms of, you know, capital in terms of any equity and all that compared to going to the bank. And that is what is changing. And in West Africa, we have so many companies that are, you know, we have so many capital investment companies here. And
that are sort of supporting these enterprises.
Yes, and supporting
relying
like
on the
this.
banks.
Yes.
But now the story here in Kenya, I know you've interacted with most of the youth here in Kenya. Even the microfinance companies that we did have in the country that were well known have been sort of overtaken by these mobile lending platforms.
Yeah.
Now, when you look at what Ghana is doing, so what would you advise, therefore, probably the government that's watching right now, to sort of do to maybe say, look, you don't have to rely on banks. We do, because we do know that now they're even forcing the CEOs of these banks that if you don't give some of your loans to qualified SMEs, then you'll go to prison, isn't it?
Yes, that's very
but
true.
Other than that, what would you propose that West Africa is doing differently that Kenya has not done on this capital issue?
Yeah, so number one, I mean, what I've seen West Africa do, number one, I think we were going to go to leadership, number one. So let's try. I know it's not easy here in Kenya. Like, I mean, if we can really have a very good system, you know, and we put a system in place that can be able to, you know, check things like corruptions and all that. So I think number one is, you know, have a very good system. Number two, I think we need to ease, we still need to work on the interest rate. You know, the interest rate are still quite high, you know, because, a common startup cannot be able to easily go to a bank and ask for a loan. Yes. Even if it's still like 10%, you know, that's still a lot. So, and that is what, you know, the mobile banking, the mobile money platform have been able to do. And I think maybe Kenya need also to probably, you know, invest more in terms of looking for easy way of, you know, lending money for young people.
Yes.
And I think I've been seeing something that is quite exciting, and I hope it works. The youth fund and the women fund and the Weather fund, you know, they've been trying to merge the fund together. But again, what you're looking at is after they merge this fund together, can they also have, like, you know, a mobile lending platform, or how can they work on that somebody can easily borrow money from that?
Easily borrow money from that.
Yeah, I don't need to do all this, you know, a lot of this paperwork just to be able to get like 50,000 shillings.
To help me jumpstart my business.
Yeah, I need 50,000 shillings. I don't really need to bring you my, you know, I go and ask my dad for a title deed and all those kind of stuff. I just need 50,000, go to Marikiti, buy my stuff and go sell. So how do you make this financial accessibility? You know, that's the key thing. And again, what I'm looking at I'm looking at even some companies coming on board and starting initiatives that can be able to, you know, empower young people. Like, you know, like what Oracle has just launched in Ghana. You know, they launched one of the biggest one of the biggest support financially and also mentoring, where they're going to support over 500 businesses in digital, in digital space. Yeah.
One of the things that I wanted to ask you about this morning is that now people are looking at, entrepreneurs are looking at your summit this year on November 20th to 23rd, and they're wondering, what are the key issues that you are going to look into in terms of entrepreneurship in Africa as an East Africa representative and boss?
Yeah.
What are some of these key issues are going to look into? And what are these ones that we are building up to?
Yeah, I mean, our focus. I mean, we have a clear focus for the next 5 years on ease of doing business. You know, so expect when you come to a conference in Ghana this year. I mean, you're going to get a lot of policy discussion in terms of ease of doing business, because that is where Africa need to go to. You know, I need to go to any country and easily register my company. I mean, countries need to open up to their borders, which is quite a challenge. There's still a lot of African countries that, personally, I'm a Kenyan passport holder, which is one of the strongest passport rating in the world. But I literally can't travel to many West African countries. So if I'm in, for example, in Ghana, which is, Ghana is a very open economy country, but I can't go to Abidjan, you know, I can't go to even Togo, I can't go to Benin. And this is actually very neighboring. Actually, these are 6 hours different, you know. So how do we strengthen our relationship with different countries across Africa? And if you look at, that is what Rwanda has been able to do, that has made them, you know, on top of the map. You know, everybody, I mean, literally, if you go to every country, they know Rwanda, you know. I'm very sure today, if you did your own small research in town, like just randomly walk to somebody and ask them, do you know where Togo is? I mean, maybe it was like, what is that? You know, what, you know? So and it's because of the way Rwanda has been able to, you know, ease of doing business and all that. So this year we're looking at that. We're also looking at, you know, focus on agriculture, because agriculture is a major focus in Africa, because food security is a major issue. So we're going to have a very strong discussion on that, and then also health innovation as well. And then we're also looking into now a continuous conversation on manufacturing as well.
All right. So I want to ask you this question that is a rising issue in the country, and you tell me whether this is true or not. We have this sort of dichotomous culture from the government that most entrepreneurs are looking at, and they're saying, look, it's as if this government is treating small businesses as if they don't matter in this country. Point being, just the other day, the Jokali sector, through their representative body, petitioned the government and told them, look, you need to stop demolishing our structures.
That's true.
Instead of demolishing, give us better options.
That's
you
true.
need to start looking into our affairs.
That's
so
true.
when you look at Ghana and the way they're treating their small-scale businesses, do you think that the dichotomous culture that they're talking about will be justified?
Yeah, I mean, one thing I have to say about Ghana is that, you know, it's a very free economy. I mean, there's so many small businesses. You know, people. I mean, there's so many people who are hawking. You know, there's so many people who are doing small businesses, and they have designated markets. You know, I mean, Africa is the same. You'll find hawkers in the street, and when you travel to different African countries, it's almost the same. But one thing that I liked about them is that they've been able to empower, you know, this small businesses, isn't it? Yeah, small businesses, and so they have, you know, a very strong freedom to be able to do business wherever. And so I think for our government, we're still a developing countries, and every time we look at how can we redefine our structuring, you know, this is an urban setup, we need to, you know, redesign our, you know, the urban, because the continuous increase of population and all this kind of stuff. So these things will happen a lot. There's still going to be a lot of demolitions and all this kind of stuff. But I think the focus would be like, you know, yes, I mean, for example, what happened, you know, the fire that happened in Gikomba a few weeks ago. And I'm like, you know, this is not right. What the government need to do is that, number one, they need to set them a place, and then I'll tell them, you guys go to this particular place that they build in a very nice way. And then after that, now they can say, okay, we want to use this place to be able to do A, B, C, D. Because at the end of the day, we're still developing. You know, we're building, I mean, our population back in maybe 10 years ago is not the same as here. So we need to build pretty much make bigger sewages.
Yes.
We need to, it's a lot of stuff involved. So for me, I think the government need to focus on how they can empower the small, very, very small, leave alone even small, like micro businesses.
Yes.
They need to see how can they empower these ones by actually giving them opportunity and places where they can be able to do their business fairly.
Yes, some of the good enterprises that I know you've been watching for a long time here, even as we gear up to the summit that is on November 20th to 23rd. What are your top East African enterprises that you would say that Asante would probably recognize? Because Asante will probably recognize and say, you see,
this is a
it's
good
actually
example.
possible.
We all know. We all know Twiga Foods.
Twiga Foods.
It's been one of the more successful stories.
Yes.
And Uganda also has Sente. Sente is one of the leading e-commerce payment platform, and they're doing very, very well. They've been raising a lot of money. Companies like Cellulant, which is more Pan-African company, they've been raising a lot of money and, doing pretty well. But if you look at most of these companies that are doing very well across Africa, including other, like in South Africa, we have Yoko, which is a payment platform as well.
Yes.
And these companies, if you look at them, like their leadership has been very, very strong, and they've been continuously raising money because there's a lot of interest, and for now, anybody who wants to get into any business, your business has to have a way that it has data, because big data is the future. Your business has to have a form of attracting data. That's why today, a VC would easily invest in a payment platform, than invest in something else. Or they easily invest in e-commerce. Why? Because payment platform will always get data. Will always, and that's the key. So anybody that's starting a company right now, you need to make sure that your company has accompaniment of big data.
Of big data behind it.
Yes,
and
that's
the same story that we're trying to push here at Metropole Television. We have data for every single sector of the economy. But that aside, therefore, let's talk about the major issue. I know yesterday we talked about Onesha.
Yeah.
We've hosted the marketing executive here, Mr. Nyagaka.
Yes.
When you talk to him, he says that one of the major issues for our African enterprises and entrepreneurs is that they don't have the blueprint for expanding.
That's true.
Yes, you're selling your mboga, you're selling your tomatoes, you're selling your shoes, but how do we therefore take our African enterprises to the next level? Just give me a quick fire on this, because I know you as a CEO would just know that this is one of the things that concern you personally.
That's what we do. That's why we have Asante, and that's what we're trying to do.
Yes.
Is we're trying to help people be able to try expand their businesses and give them opportunity in different countries as well. And so for me, I think what my colleague from Onyesha, who is actually also one of our, it's been one of our the people that we've mentored, through and build a very successful online business as well. And so what for us what we're looking at is, you have to have a very long-term strategy. Today, if you're starting a business, you should not only say that, okay, I'm only targeting East Africa. Yes, focus small. I'm going to start a business in Kenya, but actually I have to continuously look at what are some of the opportunities in other countries that my business can be able to tap into.
Yes.
And that's what we need to look at, and that is the key thing. Because if you're going to start a business today, for example, an e-commerce, e-commerce platform is basically a business that can be done in any part of the world.
Yes.
If I'm going to start an e-commerce today in Kenya, I need to see how can that e-commerce be in Uganda, in Ghana, and all those kind of stuff. So for me, one advice that I would give to any entrepreneur who is starting business today is that, number one, make sure that your business is data driven. Number two, make sure you have a bigger blueprint from the word go before you even kick off the business.
And that's what most enterprises in the Kenyan economy need to start thinking about.
That's
isn't
true.
it? All right, last question on this before I let you go. As a young man, as a young CEO, all right, and also coming into contact with a lot of young men trying to push their businesses further, do you think Kenyan enterprises have a future when you compare the journey that West Africa is trying to push?
Kenyan businesses has a great future. What they need actually is is support and mentorship, especially
Yes.
young entrepreneurs. And this is what I can if there's any CEO watching, or any successful entrepreneur, is that you make sure that you hold an entrepreneur, make sure that you hold any young person who's starting something up, and kind of help them to be able to go to the next level. But
Yes.
But one thing that you should know, that Kenyan businesses are so much respected, they're so much known, and actually they've been able to influence a lot of businesses who are starting in other countries as well. And if you look at, I when I was there, I had a meeting with one of the key people at MTN in Ghana.
Yes.
And so we were talking about M-Pesa, and I was like, right now M-Pesa is doing pretty well, and we have over 1 trillion transactions,
Yes,
and all
so
those
it's
kind
gone-
of
it's gone global now.
Yes, it's
Yes.
gone global. What do you think? And the guy was like, Calvin, you don't know. I mean, MTN West Africa is going to beat M-Pesa by far in 2020. I was like, are you sure? So everybody's looking at Kenyans like, we need to pass these guys.
Yes.
So one thing that we should know is that, Kenya is one of the best examples. It's only that sometimes we spoil it ourselves, but people admire, Kenyan business, people admire the country, people respect the people who are from Kenya and all that. Oh, you're from Kenya. Oh, it's a great country. I like this and this and this. So you always get those kind of comments, and I mean, we don't get, I mean, we also, we do get some negative comments.
I know.
Like I was being told by this Nigerian the way we really mistreat Nigerians in this country, which for me I think is really, really bad, because
Yes.
I mean, when I was in Ghana, partly I was hosted by Nigerian, and he was a really, really cool host. So I think that's also where we go wrong. So sometimes we treat the West
Yes.
Africans really not good.
All
so I
right.
think that's something that we need to change on.
All right.
Yeah.
So that means we have a future as Kenyan entrepreneurs. Get it from the CEO himself. Here's the thing. How do I be part of the summit?
Yeah, so for you to be part of the summit, actually,
Yes.
just send us an email, info@ascenti.org, and we will
Just repeat that again.
ascenti.org, or just visit our website, www.ascenti.org, and
Yes.
you can sign up online,
can
and
sign
we'll
up.
get back to you.
Right, and
and
then
hopefully in November we'll be able to welcome you to Ghana.
Sort of see what is happening across the continent. Thank you very much.
Thank you very
for coming
much.
to Metropole Television. This is the first day. I hope more to come. And if you
definitely.
need us in Ghana, we shall be there.
Yeah,
All right?
definitely. We would love to partner. so.
Let's keep on talking about that. This is our Business AM. The man himself, Calvin Judesi, CEO, Ascenti East Africa. Talk to him. Know more about the summit. We will follow this with social media updates on exactly what's going on the summit. We shall keep tabs on this story and see how Kenya is represented in the summit. That's what we have for you this morning on Business AM. Now to follow shortly with business briefs. I know Rosemary Kenyan is ready, and I'll join you at 1 p.m. for the Metropole Business News at 1. Good morning. Good day.